It's been passed down through generations, but much of its meaning has been lost over time, Arya said. Logan studied the carving, the expressions of his face changing as he tried to decode the symbols. We need to make sense of this. Otherwise, we are walking straight into a trap, he said in a voice slightly tinged with frustration. One of the elders, an ancient Helios woman with eyes that seemed to hold the wisdom of centuries, looked up at Logan. She spoke in a halting, accented version of the common tongue. You have the spirit of a warrior, Logan Valor. The temple will test you, but it will also guide you. Trust in your instincts. Her words resonated with Logan, and he nodded, showing his respect. A silent promise passed between them. Thank you. We shall do what we can to protect your people. The days went by one after the other, and Logan practically lived with the Helios. He admired their spirit and creativity. Behind the shadow of the great threat from Zenith, there was, in a way, a real sense of hope and determination. These were a people who had been through a lot, and they were not going to lie down and take it. One afternoon, while Logan was overseeing the repair of some defenses, Arya rushed over. Logan, it's confirmed. A Zenith patrol is coming our way. They will be here in hours. Logan's mind snapped into focus. We must be prepared. Gather everyone. We will position ambush points and prepare to fight. The camp buzzed with the activities of the Helios warriors arming themselves and taking their positions. Moving through the ranks, Logan gave his final words of encouragement and instructions. The tension was palpable, but so was the determination. As the sun dipped below the skyline, and therefore as shadows lengthened and deepened across the jungle, the first indication of the Zenith patrol became obvious. There was no doubt between the thrum of their hovercrafts and the sheen of their metallic armor. From his good vantage point, Logan waited, his heart pounding. The actual battle was furious when it came, but short. Even from preset traps and ambushes, Logan's strategies proved right and caught the Zenith forces off guard. The desperation and hope with which the warriors of Helios fought were practiced ferocity. Logan moved through the chaos like a phantom, honed by battle skills over years of experience. He was a force to be reckoned with, cutting down Zenith soldiers with ruthless precision. Never relenting after that first victory, the Zenith reformed and continued their attacks on the Helios, who had to fall back towards the temple. Logan's head was reeling as he grasped for a plan to get out of this. His eyes fell on Arya, battling away like he was, but full of the brave vigor of youth. Her actions were a blur of skills and determination. He felt something catch fire deep within him and was filled with an awful resolve. Logan let out a shout and rallied the warriors of Helios as he urged them on for the last push. The warriors charged, their collective will overcoming the forces of the Zenith. The battle grew into a fever pitch, with slowly but surely the Helios beginning to gain ground. As the last of the Zenith patrol crumpled to the ground, a ragged cheer rose up from the Helios forces. Logan ground to a halt, his chest heaving with exertion. It was as if the jungle itself breathed out, the very air sighing at length, something in some tension or other that had gone when the threat was removed. Arya approached, her face dirty, grimed by earth and sweat, but her eyes shone in triumph. We did it, Logan. We held them off. Logan nodded, his expression grim but oddly satisfied. This was but a skirmish. Zenith will come in numbers. We must be prepared. Arya put a hand on his shoulder, her touch grounding and reassuring. We will be. Because of you, at least we have a fighting chance. The Hellions cleaned up their wounds, tended to their defenses, while Logan stepped back for a moment of silence by the fire. It was a small victory in the battle, yet it was a victory. The way forward was long and perilous, but for the first time, he felt a spark of hope. The Hellions would be strong in their determination, and fight for their right to live with the help of Logan. The jungle around him, with its ancient trees and hidden secrets, seemed to echo his thoughts. Logan knew only too well that the path he had set himself on was dangerous, just like the path toward redemption always is. Belios Prime's Untamed Wild was not only the stage on which the struggle was taking place, but a testament to their survival and will to fight. And Logan Valor, chased by his past, had found a cause worthy of fighting for. Chapter 4: The Enigmatic Serene. The thick jungle canopy filtered the morning light into soft emerald shades that bathed the Helio settlement. The camp was new, with an energy after the skirmish. It was a quiet cocktail of optimisms and determination. Logan Valor frequented most with the warriors of Helios, for he had his own purpose, where his mind never stopped from the task of planning for the next steps. With every trap and every surveillance device in place around the perimeter, Arya came quickly toward where Logan was. We've heard reports that a new figure has appeared with the Zenith forces. Somebody different, somebody dangerous, she said urgently. Logan turned to her, his face set. Who? Arya's eyes narrowed in fear and uncertainty. Her name is Serene. She's high up at Zenith Enterprises. They say she's as deadly as she is enigmatic. Logan was interested. What do we know about her? Arya sighed. Not much. She's a mystery. Some say she's not totally human, that there is something otherworldly about her, but what is clear is that she's a very formidable adversary. Logan nodded, and with determination anew he said, We need to find out more about her. If she is a threat, we need to be prepared. With the sun making its way down to the horizon and giving long shadows in the jungle, Logan and Arya went out on their recon mission. They sneaked through the underbrush quietly, each sense open for the sounds and sights of the jungle. Arya led through the thick foliage. Her familiarity with the terrain guided them. As the two of them pressed closer and closer, presumably to the site of the Zenith encampment, Logan outstretched a hand toward Arya, signaling her to halt. They crouched low and peered through the dense foliage of trees at the encampment of the enemy. Zenith soldiers moved with disciplined efficiency, their metallic armor gleaming in the fading light. And then, amidst the ordered chaos, Logan saw her. Saren stood in the center of the camp, her very presence demanding and magnetic, tall, athletically built, with an air of strength and grace. She was beautiful, striking, almost otherworldly, with her piercing eyes that seemed to see everything. A river of night flowed with her dark hair in a stark contrast to her own sleek, high-tech armor. There was an aura of mystery, a sense of danger about her that made Logan's instincts scream caution. As they watched, Saren moved through the camp like a great general, calm but authoritative, giving orders. The Zenith soldiers reacted with unquestioning obedience, a testimony to her charisma and power. Logan felt a shiver go down his spine. This was no ordinary opponent. We need to be closer, Logan whispered to Arya. I have to hear what she is saying. Arya nodded, and they crept closer, using the thick undergrowth for cover. As they drew closer, they could make out the odd word that Saren was saying. His voice was calm and measured, yet somehow it held a weight of authority. We will protect the temple, whatever it takes, Saren said. The Helios people are desperate, but it's this desperation that makes them dangerous. We must be vigilant and strike swiftly. Logan's mind raced. The fact that Saren now took an interest in the temple confirmed his deepest fears. Zenith's interest in the ancient structure was not simply a matter of conquest. There was something deeper at play. He gestured for Arya to follow him out of the temple and then silently led her back to the camp. The camp settled into an uneasy quiet, and Logan couldn't sleep. Serene had ruffled him in a way that very few things could. He sat near the fire, staring deep into the flames as his thoughts were a whirlwind of strategies and uncertainties. He knew they needed more information about Saren, but the risks were high. The undergrowth rustled slightly, and Logan's tensed hand immediately grabbed for his weapon as he realized that night was deepening fast. But it was Arya who stepped out of the underbrush, her expression troubled. Logan, she whispered, sliding into the seat next to him. Logan sighed and ran a hand through his hair. We need to know more about her. She's not only a threat, but a wild card. We can't afford to be taken by surprise. Arya nodded, the firelight reflecting in her eyes. I have heard that she has been sighted at night all alone in the jungle. Some say she is looking for something, and some say she talks to the spirits of the land. If we could intercept her. Logan's mind sharpened at the prospect. It's risky, but it might be our best chance. If we can catch her off guard, we might get the information we need. Logan and Arya gathered intelligence, mapped potential points of interception, and liaised with the Helios scouts. It was a simple plan, but terribly dangerous. Trap Saren on one of her nocturnal excursions, thus isolating her, and then confront her. It was dead silent in the jungle on the night of the planned intercept. Every step was silent and purposeful as Logan and Arya went through the undergrowth. They reached a clearing where it had been relayed that Saren may appear. They took their positions, blending into the shadows, and waited. Hours went by, the sound of nothing stretching too long. Just when Logan started to doubt their plan, a figure emerged from the darkness. Saren moved as if she felt something unseen. Her eyes scanned the surroundings. Logan's breath caught in his throat. He gestured with one hand to Arya, and they stepped out of the shadows. Both had weapons ready, although not drawn. Saren's eyes snapped to them, and for a flicker of an instant, there was surprise before her face went set. "Logan Valor," she said in the quiet voice that was nevertheless clad in steel. "I wondered when we would meet." Logan took a step forward, unblinking. "We need to talk, Saren." She tilted her head, a slight smile playing on her lips. Logan didn't even flinch. "What we want to know is what Zenith is planning, and we want to know who you are." Saren squinted but made no move to her weapon, rather directing her glare at Logan so fiercely he thought she could have seen right through him. "You're bold, I'll give you that, but do you really think you can outmaneuver Zenith?" Logan gazed into her eyes. "We have to try. The survival of the Helios people is at stake here." For a moment, it hung there between them. Silence, heavy with unspoken possibilities. Then Sarene sighed, a sound almost of resignation. "You're more tenacious than I expected. Very well, Logan, I'll answer some of your questions. But be warned, knowledge comes with its own dangers." Logan nodded, and his heart began to race with a mixture of anticipation and caution. They had the opportunity to tip the scales, but he also understood that it was a dangerous game. Saren was a hard competitor, and he could never let his guard down. As the night grew deeper, over the hours, Logan and Arya listened to Saren's speech. One revelation had to chase another, and it all seemed to put the pieces together that they so desperately wanted to solve. The jungle with its dark, ancient secrets and great shadows seemed to hold its breath, waiting, bearing witness to the unfolding drama that would not only shape the fate of the people of the Helios, but also the balance of power on Beleos Prime. Chapter 5. Rallying Allies. The jungle appeared as if it were electrified the very next morning, following their tense encounter with Saren. Logan Valor and Arya proceeded to make their way back to the Helios camp, carrying with them fragments of knowledge that felt as if they were pieces to a much larger, intricate puzzle. The revelations by Saren are cryptic, though they give glimpses into the grand designs carried by Zenith, their interests in the ancient technologies hidden within the Grand Temple. Logan was a take-charge person. "We must gather more support," he declared to Arya in front of the council of assembled Helios leaders. "The forces at Zenith's disposal are great. We won't be able to stand up to them alone. Other factions are residing in the jungle. Their people detest Zenith for the same reasons we do because of the way their freedom has been taken from them. We have to get them in on it with us." Beside him, Vortis nodded. "We have old allies among the jungle tribes and rebel groups, but they've scattered and gone into hiding over the years. It will be difficult to find them, let alone convince them to join us." Logan's eyes were steely. "Then we better get started." For the next couple of days, Logan and Arya moved deeper into the jungle in search of old alliances and what was left of them, all while making new ones. The way was dangerous, zenith patrols, treacherous terrain, and all the dangers that lurked in the wild of the jungle. Yet Logan was tireless, his military training matched only by Arya's intimate knowledge of the jungle. The first took them to a small village in the dark heart of the jungle. It was the residence of people living undisturbed by the wars outside. It was the tribe of Carrick, fierce in independence and a warrior's temper. As Logan and Arya neared, the villagers came out suspiciously and brandishing weapons openly. Logan held up his hands peaceably. "We come in peace," he shouted, his voice unshaken. "We seek an audience with your leader. We have a common enemy in Zenith Enterprises." The tense silence was broken by one of the elderly warriors who stepped forward, his face a gnarled mask of age and intelligence. "I am Chief Rahl. What do you think makes the Carrick be willing to risk their lives for your cause?" Arya stepped forward, her voice full of conviction. Chief Ral, my people have long respected the Karak. We share history. My history, in mutual aid and respect. The oppression of Zenith, Chief Ral, affects all of us. We have a chance to stand united and reclaim our freedom. Chief Ral gazed at him for a long moment, and then nodded. Very well. Logan and Arya revealed the whole scheme to the chief, right in the heart of his hut, under the rich history symbols of the Karak. They spoke of the Grand Temple and its ancient technologies that might shift the tide. The Grand Temple spoke of unity against Zenith. Chief Ral listened with pointed interest. His sharp eyes missed nothing. Is that all? When they were through, Ral sat back considering. You speak with passion and truth. The Karak shall join you, but know this. We fight not only for the Helios, but for the freedom of all who call this jungle home. Logan nodded as relief poured over him. Thank you, Chief Ral. Now, with the Karak as allies, Logan and Arya pressed on. They next went to the Arkan rebels. The group of ex-Zenith employees turned on their masters. The Arkan were guerrilla fighters, able to strike from the shadows thanks to their knowledge of Zenith's tactics. The road to the hidden base of Arkan was perilous. Zenith patrols spread across the area, and Logan and Arya had to pull all sorts of sneaky tricks just to avoid being spotted. When they finally arrived, they were met with wary eyes and cautious greetings. Before them stood a tall, muscular woman with a scar across her face. She looked hard. I am Lena, leader of the Arkan. What do we owe the pleasure of the enemies of Zenith on our doorstep? Logan stepped closer, his gaze unwavering. Lena crossed her arms, her eyes narrowing. Why should we trust you? Zenith has betrayed us before. How do we know this isn't another trap? Arya said firmly, her voice still steady. We know you are wary, but we both have a common enemy. The tyranny of Zenith befalls us all. Join us, and together we can take them down. Lena kept the gaze for a second more before nodding slowly. All right, but no, if you betray us, there will be nowhere in this jungle for you to hide. Logan met her gaze steadily. Understood. Now, with the Arkan rebels among them, Logan and Arya returned to the camp on Helios with their ranks bolstered. The spirit high. The camp was alight with new energy as warriors of every different kind shared their wisdom, tactics, and stories. Logan had gathered the council of the allied leaders. The atmosphere among them was full of intense anticipation and determination. We have come a long way, Logan began, the weight of his experience and authority in his voice. But this is only the beginning. Zenith won't take our resistance lightly. We have to be prepared for the battle. The leaders nodded in approval. Plans were drawn, resources assigned, and strategies formed. Logan led the project with his training in the army, had proper grounding for their maneuvers. He spoke of synchronized attacks, distractions, and stronghold covering. The jungle would be in their favor, its thick vegetation and winding paths to their favor. At the end of the meeting, Logan found a moment of solitude by the fire. The night was filled with the sounds of the jungle, a reminder of the untamed world for which they were fighting. Gazing into the flames, his mind was a whirlwind of plans and possibilities. Arya joined him, the simple presence of her doing so a steadying force. We have come so far, she said softly. Logan nodded, looking into the fire without looking away. We have, but the hardest part is yet to come. Arya put a hand on his arm, her touch grounding. We'll face it together, and we'll win. Logan looked at her, his lips barely curving into a smile. Together? Rest seemed to fall over the camp, an uneasy quiet, as if Logan's sense of purpose was being reborn inside of him. Allies they had gathered, the very plans they had made. It all seemed to be finally coalescing. The jungle itself seemed to hum with expectancy under the very heavy secrets and shadows that seemed to loom, prescient of the coming struggle. The fight wasn't over with Zenith Enterprises, but at last, Logan felt they stood a real chance. They were forces they had called upon, each strong in his or her own way, and held together with a common determination. Within the very core of the jungle, with its splendor and secrets of dangers, Logan felt they belonged. The echoes of the jungle whispered into existence battles yet to be fought, sacrifices and triumphs. And as Logan Valor stood ready to face the ordeals of what was before him, he knew it to be a battle worth fighting for, risking freedom and justice.